And I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I got Barb on the first, and Justin, you second?
Either me or Shalina, one of the two.
Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed? We have an agenda. All right. Just a reminder, our vision is to empower all students to positively contribute to the community and the world, and our mission is to empower them through caring relationships, academic excellence, and community partnerships. With that in mind, I would like to share good things about the district and the community.
I want to say a couple of things about hybrid. I've been hearing really good things from parents and students too, kids, about the hybrid that we're doing in the middle school and the high school. The kids, some of the kids like it because the classrooms are smaller and they feel like they get to know or have a better one-on-one with their teacher, and also get to know some kids in their class that really they never had an opportunity to get to know very well because classrooms sometimes the size are so big. So anyway, and I think it's kept our quarantine numbers down. So I am appreciative that we went to the hybrid instead of going just straight virtual with the high school and middle school. So it was to me, that was a good idea.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Barb.
Thanks.
Well, the other good news that everyone knows about is hopefully we're getting some vaccines in. So
Yeah.
let's cross our fingers that by the time the end of school comes around, maybe we'll have everyone in school with no quarantining.
That would be great.
Any other good things people would like to share?
Other than the good things that I saw on Facebook today, we had some festive outfits, and I think Santa visited our elementary school. That was exciting.
There was definitely some fun being had at school today.
Good.
Yeah, our superintendents have dressed down a bit since this morning, I guess.
Those white shoes that everyone made comments about, they really hurt my feet. We walked. Tim, how many steps did we take today?
I got 11,000 in last time I looked at it when we were walking around. So
we're kind of wimps, you know. We don't move around that much, so we're fatigued a little bit. And my feet, those shoes, they hurt. I'm glad I got some sneakers on now.
Yeah, I told Dr. Johnson I felt like he got in my closet and stole my prom shoes.
Except they weren't platform.
No, these are definitely special.
All right. Well, let's move along. Dr. Johnson, you have a background for us again for Pledge of Allegiance?
You know what? I dropped the ball on this one, so I don't know. It might be disrespectful for us to do it without looking at the flag. So.
I don't have anything there. I will forego it this month, and we will move along. Did we have anyone send anything in, Dr. Johnson or Shannon, for statements from patrons?
Shannon, do you know if anyone sent anything in? You are muted.
Okay. If you didn't receive anything from anyone, I assume no one has. Anyone out there on the session right now have any comments they'd like to make? Okay. Next thing on the item is fall recognitions. And we've got some coaches and other activity directors. I believe the first one we had on the list was volleyball, and I think we have Coach Giese here.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Julie.
Well, I can't believe we actually had a season. It
A
went
good
so
season.
fast. It was a great season for what we got in. We were super fortunate. The group I had is a group who's worked hard all 4 years. We actually started 5 seniors this year, so next year's team will be a little different. But as far as this year goes, we actually ended with a 13-6 record. And that is quite a few games shorter than a regular season for us. I think we got shorted maybe 10 games total because 2 tournaments and 2 regular season games were canceled due to COVID stuff. But we were still fortunate to get in what we had. We actually had our first good conference record. We were 4-3 in conference this year, so that was huge for us. And then postseason honors, we had 3 girls who earned postseason honors. We had Hannah Marcy. She was all conference first team, and she was first team all district. And then Michaela Case, she also made all conference team and second team all district. And then McKenna Rogers, she was all conference honorable mention. And we actually just last week voted for all area teams. So I'm pretty sure all 3 of them will also probably make the all area team, but we'll see how that goes. So it was a really good season and we were very thankful for it. So.
Okay.
It was an outstanding season, one of our best seasons in a long, long time, right? Julie?
Yes, absolutely. It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. They've worked really hard, these girls. And so we were very nervous coming in, walking on eggshells, obviously, how we go these days, but it was good.
Super. Congratulations again on a great season.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next, Coach Rodriguez, you out there?
I'm here.
Hey, Rod. Got to
Can you hear
recognize
me?
football.
All right. You know what? Our season didn't exactly end the way we wanted it to as far as record wise, but I was very pleased with how our kids progressed through the year. We started a bunch of young kids again. I think when we look back on it, we'll be returning 8 starters from the offensive side and 9 kids that started at some point this season on the defensive side coming back next year. So we got a lot of experience. We had some new kids come out and play this year that hadn't played before. A couple of basketball kids that contributed to the team. And just to point out, kind of like what Coach Giese pointed out, that working through the COVID stuff and restrictions and all the chaos that went through that, the kids took it in stride. Very, very proud of them and how they took that. And it seemed like every week we had 1 or 2 kids that were quarantined that had to leave, but we dodged the bullet and we kept everybody for the most part healthy, and we didn't have any major issues during the season as far as anybody contracting it on the team, and we got through all 10 games, and I'm super pleased with that. Super pleased with our young kids. We started mainly freshmen on our JV squad, and they did an excellent job and competed in every game. And just like our varsity squad, we competed in almost every game. We were very competitive, had a chance to win at the end. So saying for a lot of inexperienced or young kids, that bodes well for them in their future, and a very bright future for them. As far as our all conference, all district stuff goes, all conference, Logan Sparks was the first team punter again. That's the 2nd year in a row for him. Dale Henderhan is a sophomore, made second team D-line. Cody Wilfong was named as another sophomore. He was named second team running back or second team D-back and honorable mention running back. Caden Giese was honorable mention wide receiver. He's a senior, came out for the first time, helped us out a bunch. Very good kid and good leader. Made a big difference in our locker room and our atmosphere, just on how we went about our daily business. Very pleased with him. Jed Hitch never played before. First time he'd gotten on a varsity field was an honorable mention offensive lineman. He'll be back next year. And Zach Ochterberg was an honorable mention linebacker, and he was a senior. Caden and Zach were both mentioned in the media all district. I couldn't tell you how they select those, but that's a big accomplishment to be selected to that. And that's usually almost only seniors. As far as our Football Coaches Association, Logan was selected as an all-district punter. Cody Wilfong was all-district defensive back. Dale Hinderhand was a defensive lineman. Caden Geezy made wide receiver, and Zach made linebacker as well. And the one I'm most proud of that we didn't have any last year was our academic all-state. And we had quite a few of them make academic all-conference, but the academic all-state's a pretty big deal. You have to have a really high GPA, and we relaxed some of the restrictions this year because of everybody's academic issues within their school, but all of these guys would have qualified under normal circumstances. Caden Geezy, a senior, Peyton Maley, a junior, Dakota Curdy, a junior, and Cody Wilfong were all selected as academic all-state, and that's a pretty big accomplishment for anybody, and to have that many guys in 1 year is a big deal, and I'm very proud of them for that. But that's all I have for you guys today, and thank you a lot for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again. Despite the record, it was great to see the guys just hang in there and compete throughout every game. So. Okay. They have Coach Purvis online here. Softball is next.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Just kind of piggybacking off Coach Rodriguez, and this beginning of the season was very unusual, obviously. I thought the players of all fall activities did a fantastic job kind of adjusting, coming into a season where they start off their school year with a hybrid model, or a virtual model, I guess it was, the high schoolers, and able just to kind of stay focused on grades and extracurricular activities. Just very proud of all of them. As far as our season, obviously, you know, we're shooting for a better record coming next year, following years. We are a very young team, and that showed a lot this season. But the great thing is you're going to get the majority of our starters back next year, and hopefully we'll progress and improve, and that's the goal. We did have several players, six different players that received postseason honors. Starting with the all-conference honors, we had Karen Gooden and Emily Recker were both honorable mention all-conference players. Both are freshmen. We had two second-team all-conference members. Corey Alcorn, who was selected as a second team all-conference as a catcher. And then we had sophomore JC Spurgeon, which I always kind of tease her. She's a freshman for our softball eligibility. She was selected as an outfielder. And then we had first team all-conference. We had two members as well, or two players selected. Allison Bullock was selected to the outfield, and Alexis Freeman, who was a freshman. Allie was a junior. Alexis Freeman, a freshman, was selected as an infielder. So I thought it was a great representation for us as far as our conference teams. And then we also had two members who were selected to first team all district. Allison Bullock as an outfielder, and Alexis Freeman as an infielder. And then those same two individuals were selected to a second team all region, which is they were up against pretty tough competition. When you look at the teams that were in both districts, obviously we were part of a district with the eventual state champions of Sullivan. And then the other district team that we were competing with, far as members for the all region, very tough district as well. So Allison Bullock was chosen again, second team all region as outfield, and Alexis Freeman was chosen as an infielder. So as I said, just a great group of kids to coach as well. Like I said, this season, you know, was kind of difficult at times with the guess, adversities that we had to face, but we made it through. Was glad to have a season. But one thing I'm very excited about this group of players, and I think the future is going to be good here if we can get them to stay with it and keep working at it and keep on improving. And like I said, that's our goal. I appreciate you guys allowing us to do this, and hope everyone has a great evening.
Any comments for Coach Purvis? Thank you very much, Brad, for sharing the conference achievements with them. And yeah, they got a little ways to go, but they're a young group. They're really good.
They'll get there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Let's see, next item I have is cross country. Do I have Coach Campbell here? I don't see his name on a participant list. See if he joins in a minute. We'll move along. I think we have Mr. Flan on the list for choir. Are you
Hey
there,
guys,
Dustin?
can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Awesome. Is there a way that I could share my screen with this, because the kids kind of put something together for you guys to see?
You should be able to share screen. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Go ahead and try now.
Awesome. So they put this together so that you all could see, and I'll talk a little bit about it after we get through it.
We're not hearing anything. Is there supposed to be music, Justin?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sophomore concert choir. Lynn Steen, 9th grade concert choir.
Michaela Picker, senior concert choir. Kayla Brown, junior concert choir. Amber Higgins, junior concert choir. Okay, Kinsey Gardner, sophomore concert choir. Nikki Rush, freshman concert choir. Tyler Hanson, freshman concert choir.
Noah Ament, senior concert choir. Dylan Donnelly, junior concert choir. Michael Deacock, sophomore concert choir.
Jake Wilson, sophomore concert choir.
Gabe Ambrose, 9th grade concert choir.
Ryan Braun, 9th grade concert choir.
Zachary Duda, senior concert choir.
Levi Brown, 12th grade concert choir.
Logan Grail, junior concert choir.
Dale Hinderhand, sophomore concert choir.
Ethan Sandstrom, sophomore concert choir.
Cooper Harlan, 9th grade concert choir.
My name is Caitlin Higginbotham. I'm in 12th grade and I made the honor choir. Olivia Inglemar, senior honor choir. Abigail McKee, sophomore honor choir.
I'm Katie Wright. I'm a sophomore and I'm in the district honor choir.
Aubrey Boyer, sophomore honor choir. Sequoia Brown, sophomore honor choir. Emma Carroll, senior honor choir. Allie Heron, junior honor choir. Anna Lynch, junior honor choir.
Isaac Radcliffe, senior honor choir.
Jacob Reinhardt, senior honor choir.
Hunter Redburn, sophomore honor choir.
My name is Tony Brown. I'm a senior and I am in honor choir.
I'm Abram Schisler. I'm in the district honor choir and I'm a junior.
Hello, my name is Ty.
I am a junior and I made the honor choir.
Cody Ward, sophomore year, honor choir.
So that's all the kids that hopefully you guys heard every single kid since they didn't get a chance to actually be here tonight. We wanted to be able to have them be recognized and them actually present themselves. So what's cool about that and all the kids that did make the district choirs, that's really the only thing we were able to do this semester in terms of outside class. We had a total of 10 seniors, 8 juniors, 11 for sophomores, and 6 freshmen make the district choirs. And interestingly enough, when it came to last year was a big booming year of 35 kids that made it. So when we got the results this year, I was shocked more than anything else to find that we had 36 make it this year. So it was really fun and exciting time for us. And for those of you that don't know, our districts is not very similar to sports districts. Our district is a region, and all the schools within that region compete against each other regardless of class. So we're up against small schools like Russellville and Steelville and Blair Oaks and Eldon, but at the same time we're also up against bigger schools like Waynesville and Capital City and Jeff City and Camdenton. So these bigger schools that usually dominate the district groups and then eventually dominate the state groups. So when we got the total breakdown and I broke it down by who made the concert choir, which is the lower choir, and the honor choir, which is the top choir, we had 36 total make it, which is the most of any other group. Osage was second with 28 that made it, Jeff City with 25, and Camdenton with 24. So St. James really overrepresented itself in the district at the district level. And this is the first year that St. James has ever done this. We had the most in both choirs. See, last year we had 24 in the honor choir, but only 11 in the concert choir. So we had more kids, more schools had more kids in the concert choir. Well, this year we had 16 in the honor choir, which was the most of any other school. And we had 20 in the concert choir, which is the most of any other school. So kudos to these kids and the hard work that they've put in. I also want to put out a couple special recognitions for 4 of the seniors, because they have achieved the district choir for the last 4 years. And that's Isaac Ratcliffe, who was in the concert choir his freshman year and then made honor choir the next 3 years. Caitlin Higginbotham is another one. She made honor choir her freshman year, concert choir her sophomore year, and then last year and this year she made the honor choir. Olivia Engelmeyer is the third. She made concert choir her freshman year and then honor choir sophomore, junior, and senior year. And Jacob Reinhardt is now the second student that I've ever had in now my 13th year here who has ever made the honor choir all 4 years, the other being Isaac Helterbrand. So kudos to those 4 kids. If they are a junior and a senior in honor choir, if they made the honor choir as junior or senior, they're going to audition for the all-state choir. Now they pushed it back because of COVID and everything that entails there. So it's a virtual audition that's going to happen on March 2nd. And the cool thing about that is of the 16 students that made the honor choir, there are, let me pull it up real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of them can audition for the all-state choir. Their placements, there are 7 of them in the top 4 for the district, and they take the district score and add it to the state score. So as of right now, we have 2 kids that are in first place, and the rest of them are in third and fourth places. We got a couple that are in the top 10 and the top 20. So they got some really good chances of having a big representation at the all-state level. Some like we never had. St. James, the most we've ever had was 5. So hopefully we can have something close to that, if not surpass it, because these kids are pretty phenomenal.
Okay, thank you very much, Dustin. I agree with you. The last few years, we have had some tremendous numbers going up to district. Any comments for Dustin? Thanks very much for attending. You're welcome to stick around, but I know you won't. So have a good evening. I don't see Coach Campbell on the participant list yet. Are you out there? Okay. I guess we will not get an update from Coach Campbell on cross country. 2 members, very outstanding there, and both of them competed all the way into state qualifications and competed pretty well at state there. Vanessa Perona and Luke Shields. So congratulations to both of them. And I think that does it for our fall recognitions. We will move along on our agenda tonight. Next item is the consent agenda, including our warrants, minutes from last meeting. And if someone would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, I would appreciate it.
This is John. I make that motion.
Okay, thank you, John.
I'll second.
Second from Shalina.
Tina.
From Tina. All right, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one being opposed, motion passes. We have several presentations tonight. The first one is from our auditors, from Schultz Wood and Rapp Certified. And I know we have a participant who is out here.
Hello, it's me, Ken Schultz. How are you?
We're doing great, sir. What do you have to tell us about our finances?
Well, we wrote a 52-page report, and we'll start on page 1 and skip quite a ways through it. We'll only look about 7 or 8 pages. But if you need something to go to sleep at night, you know, grab this. This will help you keep from, you know, having too much caffeine in the evening. Your independent auditor's report's on page 1 and 2, which basically is a clean opinion, which means that your financial statements are stated fairly in accordance with your cash basis of accounting. Cash basis of accounting is basically checkbook accounting, which is really cash receipts and cash disbursements. And it's really how you guys manage your district and how you go about keeping things in line, et cetera. So most school districts in the state of Missouri are cash basis. I think out of the 535 school districts, well over 400 are cash basis financial statements. The only unusual thing in the note is because of the pandemic, there's an emphasis and matter paragraph talking about that and the impact COVID-19 has and the basically the uncertainty that it puts upon financial statements as to whether or not you may have potentially a material adverse effect as it relates to the financial statements in 2021. Pages 12 and 13 are really the guts of the financial statements. That's your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances. We prefer to show comparative statements. So on page 12 is your 2020 year, and on page 19 is the prior year. And overall, we've had revenues collected of 33 million versus 26 million the year before, of which a lot of that is attributed to the bond issue as well as capital lease issue. You'll see that both years were in the black. Revenues collected over expenditures paid in 2020 were $2,046,000 versus $4,405,000 in 2019. Of course, we kicked in a lot of construction in 2020, which utilized a lot of the spending. Your capital projects paid in 2020 was $8.3 million versus $1 million a year before. You also note that both years, the general fund versus and the teachers fund were in the black of $277,000, $604,000. So that's good news. On pages 19 and 20 and 21, those are and 22, I believe. It's 4 pages. That summarizes your long-term debt. And basically, they're important because long-term debt really isn't disclosed in the financial statements anywhere else except in the notes. So you might want to read note 5 and look over your different general obligation bonds and the history of what's going on, etc. But on page 20, there's a good summary of the general obligation bonds for the last 2 years. And you can see there that we've basically in the last 2 years taken $12 million of general obligation bonds and $2,295,000 of refunding bonds. So we've been very active in the bond market, that's for sure. Your $2,295,000 refinancing also projected savings of $103,000. So that's very impressive, as well as the reoffering premium in issuing your October 2019 bonds. On page 20, you'll see that your reoffering premium was $1,234,000 versus $103,000 in cost of incurrence. So you were well ahead there by $1.1 million. Page 22 shows the required payments for, excuse me, I think I skipped over a page. Let's go back to page 21 a second. That's your capital leases. And at the top of page 21 is also your debt burden by year for the next 5 years, as well as in 5-year increments thereafter. So you see in the next 4 years, you have right at $700,000 to $780,000 of debt service being required for general obligation bonds. And then they start maturing more quickly after that. Page 21, at the bottom is the capital leases. And there are 3 capital leases that are described. 2 are Apple computer leases, one of which has already been paid off. And then there's a new one going through, which I believe expires in 20, I don't see it. I think that's a 5-year lease. So I think it expires in 2025 or so, 2024 perhaps. And your lease purchase series 2020B offering with $2,575,000 was also incurred in this year. That number, of course, is to help finish off the construction building and furnishing the performing arts construction and the high school construction and the early childhood as well. Page 22 just summarizes your annual requirements for capital leases, and there you'll see that it ranges anywhere in the next 5 years from $89,000 up to $439,000. On page 30 and 31, these are schedules for the defined benefit retirement plans that you are required by the state to participate in. And big numbers there to look at. Again, these are not numbers that go through your financial statements. That's why they're presented in the notes. But you'll see that there's a proportionate share of the net pension liability for PSRS, which is your teacher's retirement plan. The unfunded part of that is $13 million. And for the non-certificated peers plan, it's about $1.2 million. So what does that mean? That means that's the best estimate of what's not been funded by these two plans for people that you have offered retirement for. So that's up to $14 million. The good news is that state of Missouri's plans is probably considered the best plan of its type in the United States. They call this type of plan, which does not participate in Social Security, the Missouri model, in fact. And from what I've seen, we are topped at number 1 for this type of plan out of 15 states that have it. And even though we're underfunded by $14 million, 85% of this liability between the two is covered by the plans. The other thing to note is that, neighboring states like Illinois, where we're at 85%, they're only funded at 41%. So we're much better well off than other states. Pages 32 and 33, you may want to look at those schedules. That gives you a side-by-side comparison of revenue sources by type of revenues. And you'll see that, local revenues this year were 9.2 million versus about 8.1 million the year before. County revenues were very consistent, 413,000 versus 373. Your state revenues were at 10,090,000 versus 11,000,001. Your basic formula, you can see, was down almost $1 million over the year before. And on page 33 is the federal look. The federal grants, we had the CARES ESSER fund come in and contributed $519,000, which was a good boost for the fact that some of the others lagged after the shutdowns of schools. And you'll see that overall, federal programs were up about $210,000. And the sale of bonds in the last 2 years has been over $14 million. You'll see over $4 million in 2019 and 10.7, including the refunding bonds in 2020. The last page is the very last page, and that's on page 52. And we'd like to present a 10-year schedule of selected data. And that schedule basically takes some key elements and some key ratios and key numbers to see where we're going and what trends we have and that type of thing for the school district. You'll see your fund balances are just $10,000 under 15 million. Of course, there's money to be spent yet in the construction projects that haven't been spent. So I think we borrowed $12 million and we only have spent, I think, $8 million this year. So there's still $4 million yet to spend, I believe. Your revenues collected, you'll see, is at a high over the last 10 years. And of course, that reflects the bonds as well. Your revenues collected over expenditures paid, you'll see that you guys have been fairly fiscally responsible in the last 10 years. You only have really construction years in which you have some deficit spending going on, and those monies came in the year before. Your long-term debt outstanding, of course, is ballooned to 21 million. So your low is at 8.3 million or 7.5 million, I guess, 2 years ago. So in the last 2 years, we've tripled our debt load to take care of the campus and do the things that are needed. So the levies or assessed valuation you see is at 123 million, and it's gone up slowly from 108 million in 2011. Your levies have gone up slowly, 3.28 to 3.5, and for the last 3 years, 3.65 for $100 valuation. Calendar hours last year saw a drop, of course, because of the shutdown in March. Your eligible pupil numbers are staying fairly strong for both your ADA calculation, your September membership, which is good because a lot of school districts in Missouri and rural Missouri, I typically see a 15 to 20% drop over the last 10 years in rural Missouri school ADA. So it's good that you guys are holding your own. And if you look, you're up 137 from where you were 10 years ago. So that's good news. The last number ratio is the operating fund to expenditure ratio. And these numbers are basically kind of DESE's dashboard tool in terms of how healthy your school district is. And you'll see that you're at 28.73%, and you've been consistently well above 25%, and 10 years ago you were at 42.76. DESE believes that a healthy ratio for a school district in Missouri should be at 17%. And I tend to disagree with that because that's only about 6 weeks worth of cash flow. And I think a healthy or more realistic approach is 3 months of cash flow. So it needs to be more closer to 30 to 32% in that area. So 28 is very healthy, however, and you won't have any problem. A lot of people would like to trade places with you with that type of ratio. Other than that, we had a very good audit. We did a lot of pre-planning because it was a new first-time audit for us. We did do St. James R1, I think, back in 2009 and 2010. And we're glad to have you back as a client. So we appreciate that. Appreciate the hard work that Merlin and Susan and their staff did to get ready for us and help us out. The first year requires a lot of original document pulling and things like that. So it took a while to get some things going, but they were right after it and got it done very timely for us. What questions do you have?
Anyone have any questions?
We have a tax return we need to complete for the foundation at the end of December when that occurs. So
we did
as well.
We did debate a little bit on the third partner you have there with RAP. That was
I see that.
I have nothing to add to the presentation as a named partner. I have nothing to add.
She actually was on the engagement, actually. Her husband's Jody Rapp, and they're from the Clinton Montrose area.
Well, Ken, thank you very much for going through those numbers with us. It's nice to have some of those explained as to what they are.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll stay on a little bit longer and see what's going on.
Okay, and I'll tell you that we are very proud of our administration over there. They're some go-getters, and I think they do a wonderful job. I think they really do.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't forget to approve it at some point.
Okay, yeah, that will have to come. That'll come when we get our action topics. It's the very first one in the action topic, but we will get it approved tonight.
Okay.
All right. Next on our list is an update on construction from Branco. I think I saw.
I'm here. I'm Eric.
I saw Brandon from Dake Wells on here.
SHER 485 is Branco.
Okay.
So let's give you guys an update. Last this week we went through and found some areas. He's going to start waxing floors beginning next week. We got everything. I think we finally got the water test to pass. So we have water over there. I believe they had sent the second sample in for testing yesterday, but the first sample had passed, and they said it's not very likely the second one will not pass, but stranger things have happened. Let's keep our fingers crossed that does pass so we can get all the water, because they got everything tied in, and there's been struggles getting the water to pass there, but I think we're okay. And we looked at where Wes's team can start while school's not in session, so they're going to start waxing and getting the classrooms ready, moving furniture in to begin utilizing the classrooms both upstairs and downstairs when you guys come back from Christmas break. And the rest of the project, there's going to be a few odds and ends left to finish up, maybe in the band room and the auditorium. But things are coming along very well. The heat's on in the whole building. Everything's pretty much closed in. We've had some delays getting some glass. They have most of the aluminum storefronts in. They had a delay getting one of the storefronts. They actually had to go to Houston, Texas and pick up the material for that because they're shipping delays. And of course, like everything else, they blame it on COVID. And they have that now. They're going to begin installing that, but the building's closed in, the heat's running, even up and down the corridor everywhere. So they're going to start laying tile down the corridor, and things are coming together pretty well. I went through today and made a list of outstanding things, and we're going to be really pushing the subs to get over the finish line and try with all of our power to reach our substantial completion date of January 17th. We do have some delays on a few items. The elevator was supposed to be done a couple weeks ago. However, we had a conversation with the elevator company, and they were completely shut down due to COVID, but they are scheduled to be there the first full week of January. I believe that's January 7th. And they told me that they would be done. They got everything there on Thursday. They would be finished by Sunday. The wall pads are still not in the gym. Once again, that's a COVID delay. I actually followed up with them today, and they informed me that the pads will be there sometime in January. They said they would have them installed before the end of January. So we have the only other real delay we have is going to be some of the casework in the classrooms. That's the casework supplier. They've had COVID delays as well. They're fabricating that now. We couldn't reach those people today, so we went and visited them in person and got an update. And miraculously, an hour after we left there, they were up there taking measurements. They wouldn't return our phone calls, but they were there today. And there has been some delays from some of the subcontractors. They've had people out with COVID. And I mean, in that situation, there's really not a whole lot you can do. I mean, everybody's experienced delays, it seems, because of COVID, and we're trying to do the best we can. And I know, like the plumbing contractor, for instance, they had one guy because all the rest of their guys were quarantined. So they had one guy for 2 weeks that was the only guy there, and he was trying to do that and a couple other jobs. And we've been pushing on these guys, and we're trying with everything we can to get this finished up. We want this done as bad as you guys do, and we want to give you guys your school and let you guys utilize that. Anybody have any questions?
Eric, do you want to talk about the fire alarm? Did you already say something about that?
I did not. So that's one thing that we discovered today, and the electrician just informed us today that the fire alarm may not be functionable at the beginning of January. They said, originally the guy told me that it was achievable to make it functionable, and I told Wes I didn't think that was a true statement. Well, actually, while I was on the phone with Wes giving him an update, he tried calling back, and I had to call him back again, and he said that it is achievable, that they could come in and do some temporary things and some jumper wires and some other temporary measures and make that system functionable. However, that wasn't, he said his job was not, presented like that. So if we wanted to do that, there'd be an additional $5,000 charge for them to come and do what they had to do, and because they have to come back again and reprogram. And he says that the system, it's all tied together, which makes sense. I mean, the whole fire alarm system is tied together. So I guess that's something for Merlin or Wes or whoever to decide on, you guys to decide on if we're okay with utilizing the classrooms for 2 weeks without a fully functionable fire alarm system, or if we want to pay, additional money to make that system temporarily functionable. And that's
well,
not, we
and
don't
let me
at the moment, but just something to think about.
and I'll jump in here, Eric, real quick. We wouldn't be able to do a certificate of substantial completion to allow the school to use the building until those life safety issues are in place. So this is the first I'm hearing about the fire alarm issue, but if there's anything we can do or our engineer can do to speed that along or help, let us know. We'll do
They're saying
what
they
we can.
can't do the final fire alarm hookup until the building is completely done. They have all the ceilings and everything, all the paintings done. They say they can't do it until then because the whole system ties together. So you have to tie it all together and then set up the entire system.
Okay, that makes sense to me, but I don't know how the $5,000 ad would change any of those things for him.
Well, he said that they would come in and do some temporary wiring, like bypass some of the things that aren't installed on the part of the building that they're not going to utilize. So the band room, auditorium, some of that area, they would bypass some of the system and make the classroom area functionable and the rest of the system not functionable.
I see.
When will he be able to come back and do the completion? What is our completion date for him to be able to come in and do that?
He will be able to do it as soon as basically everything else is done. Like I said, they have to have all the ceilings installed, all the painting done, because,
which is when, Eric?
We're shooting for January 17th. If we don't experience any more COVID delays, I think that's very achievable. So things are coming along nicely, and I don't see why we couldn't achieve that unless, unforeseen circumstances arise.
And once
I have a
he's
couple of questions. Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Barb.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the November meeting, didn't you all say that classrooms would be turned over to us by the end of the month, meaning the end of November? And now I'm hearing you say that when now the heat sounds, we put the tile in and the casings. I'm a little skeptical as to January 17th being our completion day. And I'm hearing a lot from the community. They have a lot of concerns and I don't know how to answer them because, I say to them what you said to us at the meeting, oh yeah, we're going to get our classrooms at the end of the month. We're not even close, I don't think, at this point. There's several questions that the community has, and I think they deserve some answers, but unfortunately, I don't know how to answer them on these.
The upstairs classroom, like the main.
I agree, Barb, because that's same questions. And the last date I remember was the building was going to be ours on Christmas. I believe was what was stated at the last meeting as well.
The classrooms, he said the classrooms will be turned over to us at the end of the month. And our issue was that we had to deal with some internet issues, which was our concern. So I feel like there's a little credibility problem here as far as
What I stated was the upstairs classrooms would be available, and that's when Wes brought to the attention that the IT closet was not heated or climate controlled for them to utilize that. So the classrooms, like they were there, but now the downstairs class, so all the classrooms over there, minus the band room and things beside that, will be turned over. That whole end of the school will be available for use upstairs and downstairs.
But it won't really be available for use because we don't have fire alarms and we don't have internet, correct? So available for use isn't really the term we should be using here.
Well, that's whoever's call. That's not my call to say if you guys can occupy the building or not. That'd be more on Brandon or whatever you guys decide. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, but they've been working on the internet stuff, and I think that they plan to have that ready to use up there as well. I know that when I was up there, they have a lot of the cables are terminated. They don't have the server installed yet, but I'm assuming it's there somewhere. They just haven't installed it, but they have all the lines and things are ran and terminated.
Yeah. So Josh Carroll is trying to get finished up. He's wanting to get finished up before I start waxing. We aren't 100%, but he has, from the last I talked to him today, he's going to be ready before I am. So I don't think, and I have no reason to believe he's not. He has everything terminated. We're waiting on the fiber cable to be pulled from the server room to the room upstairs. But Josh he's been working nights, and that crew's been working because they want to get out of my way. So the internet's not going to be an issue. I hope, Josh, I guess you're not out here listening, but I'm pretty sure internet will be fine. And I'm planning Monday to start waxing, but it's still right back to, I don't think we can occupy because Dake Wells has to give us the right to occupy. Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
I just found out about
certificate of substantial completion.
Yeah, I just heard today about the fire alarm not being functional, and that's from the electrician. That was one of the items we went out and discussed today, and he's like, "Oh, well, everything's there, but we can't program it." They said they had all the components installed, but they can't program it until the whole system is installed. And then he came back and said that they could do it if they bypass some of the system.
Maybe I misunderstood. You were saying that just a little bit ago that now the heat's on, we can lay the tile. Where are you laying the tile?
Up the main corridor, so like between the buildings.
Okay, so if there's no tile, we can't wax. So is the tile all down in the
tile's all
classroom?
down in the classrooms, yes.
Okay.
They're just going to start coming up that corridor, so there will be, the whole corridor will be laid up through there, which they're not going to utilize much of the corridor. They'll just come out of the old building and remodeled building, so they'll basically be crossing across there and using the stairs, and so that whole area will be tiled and ready to go. But the classrooms, all the VCT tile will be laid in the classrooms by the end of the day tomorrow.
So if a community member comes to me and says, "When are you guys getting in?" You're telling me we're going to be in by January 17th?
January 17th is our substantial completion date. So unless there are some unforeseen delays.
So what happened to the end of the month on November?
That was for the classrooms, and then we were trying to get it all done, but it just with the delays we've experienced this far, it just didn't happen. We tried everything we could, but.
So am I understanding this right? The classrooms are going to be finished. The kids will be able to walk from the old high school to the new addition The only thing that will be holding us up is this fire alarm to start our second semester in those classrooms.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what about it? So my understanding from what I'm listening to is there's only one entrance and exit at that point. Is
No,
that
there's-
going to be good?
There's two. We have the main set of stairs out there, then there's another set of stairs by the elevator area. Both of those will, and if there was some kind of an emergency situation, they could go through the auditorium and go down the risers. The risers are all poured, the stairs are all poured in the riser, on the riser. So if that needed to be an egress point, by all means, it could be. We wouldn't want to utilize it, regularly, because there's going to be people in there working, but if there was an emergency, we could definitely utilize those. And the stairs over by the elevator, they're completed as well. I don't think that they're wanting kids to use those because they're wanting to kind of channel them the other way and keep track of them. But
Well, what worries me is, it's one safety issue after another is what we continue to bring up here, as far as trying to occupy with the classrooms that'll be completed. Are we going to have the proper signage for the entrance and exit for emergency? Are we going to, fire alarms? This is one thing after another.
we can put up whatever signs are necessary. They'll be temporary because it's say, at the end of the corridor, the doors will be closed. And if you put emergency exit sign on the door, then they'll know that the main entrance and exit, and then they'll go out and be channeled out the other end of the building.
Eric, I had asked for a revised, updated plan, timeline. Were you able to produce that?
Well, I walked through today and we made a list of every outstanding item that we've seen, and I've got it all wrote down. I just have to get it typed up and I'll get that to you.
I think that would help with us because we, over the last few months, we were talking, but we don't have anything in writing as far as what you're saying. When you say these, when you give us your updates, update at the meeting or in Zoom, at the Zoom meeting, and then we go and, I'm going to the public all the time. Every week I put something in the paper. I'm not always talking about the projects, but I will mention something, or even I do videos once a month, trying to communicate with the public. And it's very difficult right now for me and for the board members when we get questioned by the community I've shared this with you, with constant, well, you're never going to get done. And so it's, I feel like the board's been very patient. We've been very patient. We've understood the delays. From March to September, actually, you had the building, no students, no teachers in it. And weather was relatively very good during that time. And so our patience we've been very patient. I think our board has displayed that and been very good. And our community's actually been very good. And we've done a good job, understanding and the change orders that have taken place. Dake Wells has worked very well and improved some things, and we've communicated. And so these last few months has been frustrating, and I think that's what's confusing for the community, is that we're very excited. This is going to be a great thing. There is progress when people come and take a look at the building. They see great progress, and the disappointing thing is just the timeline. Where we can't explain that anymore. It's just frustrating. I know you want to get done just as much as we do, but we don't know what to say anymore to our public.
Like I said, I'll have a list to you guys of like just the outstanding items. And I said, it's frustrating for everybody because when we come on site and there's not people there and you call somebody and say, hey, where are your guys at? And they say, we're out with COVID. I don't know what anybody expects us to do about that. I guess we could try to find somebody else. It'd take longer to get somebody else in there to do it than it would for them to come back and do it. And then I guess we'd be open to lawsuits. But like I said, I don't know how to push those people any harder when, literally you'll walk in there and you'd be like, hey, where are these guys at? they called and said that, you know, their guys had COVID and they didn't have anybody else to send. And, you know, materials are becoming a big delay. That's the casework guys' reasoning for not, they don't have any of their materials. They can't get materials. The plant that produces the wood that they need was shut down for a month with COVID, so they're behind. And the glass company, same way, you know, they can't get glass because it's delayed. And that's true. Sure, Brandon's seen that on other projects they have. That is true, that they can't get glass because the manufacturers aren't producing. And so, I mean, we've done everything in our power to try to push these guys and get them there. And if they're not there, we're calling them daily, asking where they're at and why they're not there working. But I mean, when they say they have COVID and I mean, our hands are tied at that point. I mean, we've done a lot of things ourselves that weren't in our scope of work just to try to move the project forward. And I think Wes can vouch for that. He was over there today and we had a bunch of our guys in there cleaning up and just doing random stuff that, you know, just to try to move the project along for the better interest of the project.
Speaking of the community, this secure work site, Eric, are you on site at all? I mean, I know you were there today, but it seems like the fences are always open. There's always a gap in the fences. There's always people can just walk right in and stuff. I don't feel like we've had a secure work site since we started, honestly. And that was one of the main reasons we hired you guys. We saw all your credentials and everything you brought to the table. And I wonder, can we not close the fences and do something to mark those off? I understand you guys are in and out, but when you leave for the weekend, you leave them days at a time, and at night people are getting in there. I feel like this has fallen on deaf ears when we talked about it before, but now that we're nearing completion, people are starting to get a little more vocal about it again.
Yeah, and
I'm going to chime in and help with Tina on that one too. Not only have we not had a secure work site, we've not had a secure building. There have been many openings into our school, and the only reason I think we have a secure building right now is because we have a good video surveillance system, and we're lucky that we live in a relatively crime-free community.
Yeah, we'll start making sure they get fences up, and like next week they should have the exterior doors on, and we can lock those up as soon as they get the doors on and start securing it a little better. But we will make sure they start putting, you know, some fence panels up and things to try to keep people out the best they can.
I appreciate that, because as we start getting finishes in there, it becomes more and more of an issue of potential vandalism and theft as things get put in there.
What happens all the time is, unfortunately, you go through and, you know, you put something up and one guy goes through and he just takes it down and never puts it back up. So that's no excuse, but that's what happens with everything. It's just like cleaning up. You go through there and you clean up something and you go back and it's dirty again. Everybody just throws their stuff around, and they, like, even trying to keep the building heated right now. You know, we have plastic and things there. Somebody goes out, they leave it open, and then they're the first ones in there complaining that it's cold. But yes, we will address that issue and get it more secure.
So Eric, just so I understand correctly, your plan is to get us our building in completion by January 17th. I'm assuming you guys will be working. I know you've had people up there night and day, and I'm not arguing with that, but I'm assuming we'll see you guys working through the holidays or at least a few days over the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah. So we'll have guys there, you know, every day except for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then New Year's Day. There'll be guys there working. So everybody, you know, even the people who've had delays, they've tried to get in there and do the best they can to get things done as quickly as they can. Because, you know, I mean, it is their fault, but it's not their fault either. And they, you know, a lot of these guys, they feel bad about it too. And they just try to come in there and, you know, I mean, get things done. And, you know, nobody wants to disappoint anybody, and that's, you know, never anybody's goal, but there's some things that are out of our control, you know, unfortunately.
Okay, so this one I don't think is going to Eric. This is more a Brandon Merlin West question. So I'm hearing our classrooms are done, our walkway's done. We have no fire alarm. We do have 2 exits. What's our plan? Are we starting second semester in trailers again? Is this the 3rd semester we're going to be in that situation?
So I'll start. I mean, I had similar questions. I am instructing my crew starting next week they're actually moving some of our equipment upstairs tonight even, to start getting wax in the classrooms, because it's going to be tough. I mean, being the holidays, all my staff, they all took off the eves, and obviously they get off both holidays. So I really only have about 7 working days that I can even have at my discretion to make that happen. So it's going to be tough anyway to get it waxed and to carry every bit of furniture just from the Walmart trailers up there, let alone I talked to Joe earlier today, and I mean, actually moving teachers. I mean, the building's not ready. So I couldn't say, yeah, Joe, have your teachers pack all their stuff up, because what if it didn't happen? You know, and that's not fair to those teachers. So that's just questions that I don't have answers to. I mean, I would love to say, yeah, but I don't know that I'm going to get my portion done in time. So I don't want it to be my fault that teachers had to pack all their stuff up and then unpack it to start Tuesday, January 5th back in their class, because there are just so many unknowns. And then with the fire alarm thing today, so I know that didn't answer your question, but that's where I'm at. I am going to do what I can over those 7 days, and I believe we can get all the rooms waxed. We can get as much furniture moved as physically possible, and that's upstairs. Downstairs, I don't know if it's quite as ready. I know they were still laying some tile in there and the ramp. So that was upstairs. My plan is to get upstairs ready to go the best I can. But then my question is going to turn from you back to Brandon. Is substantial completion, we are at your mercy on that. You know, I guess, should we go ahead and set up a OAC for the 15th or to get even the substantial completion? But then you're saying that we shouldn't even move in until we get substantial completion, and that's definitely probably not going to happen before January 5th. So to start second semester, you know, so that's kind of up to Brandon. So I'll shut up now and let someone else talk.
Okay, so I guess that's passing it to me next, and we certainly don't want to hold things up, and we'll be available to meet and come down to review punch list, and issue a substantial completion as soon as we can. Of course, our first motivation is for kids to be safe, and we wouldn't be able to get it passed through the fire marshal anyway without all the life safety issues being done. And so that's our first and highest priority. After that, our goal is for everything to be installed once. You might have a door that's not right. You might have some paint that needs to be touched up or some hardware that needs to be fixed, but it's all there, it's all installed, and that's what we would consider substantially complete. If we have to waver on that a little bit and write a substantial completion certificate, even though not everything is installed, but it's at least safe, we will do that. And that's exactly what we did on the early childhood. There were some things that weren't done, but we needed to get you in there. And so we did our substantial completion certificate a little early, but all the life safety issues were there. So we'll work with you best we can. As soon as Branco gives us the go-ahead that they're ready for punch list and for us to review, we will be there. And beyond that, I don't know how you'll start school, whether you do it remotely or in trailers or how that works, and that's not my call. But we'll do what we can to get you in the building as fast as we can.
And so that final part is, you know, how we start back on the 5th. And, you know, as long as we're in hybrid, things are functioning fairly well in our present situation. However, when it gets bitter cold, you know, do we want our kids outside walking in the bitter cold between the Christian church, alternative school, the old Tiger Cubs building, through the parking lot? I mean, our kids have done a great job so far. It's become the new norm, unfortunately. I think, you know, the frustrating thing is, you know, we've waited and we spent already millions of dollars for our kids to be able to utilize this space, and they're not going to be able to do it still yet into the second semester. We have seniors, high school seniors, that they haven't had a normal building situation since they were sophomores in school, not to mention they're dealing with COVID, you know, the learning loss, even though, you know, our teachers are doing a great job through this hybrid and through the pandemic. My thought is, you know, I've already made arrangements with the Christian church and the city on if we needed to be extended the use of those facilities. And they've already been very great to work with us and said that both situations, they're not going to hold us long term. They'll allow us to, when we're ready to get in the building, we can leave it at that moment. So I'm very appreciative to the Christian church and very appreciative to the city that they've allowed us to continue using the old Golden Age Center for the alternative school. And then we have a couple classrooms in the Christian church. And so we can't extend that, but that's us going out of our way to continue to wait. And that's when we start talking about, you know, we're spending money to rent. You know, these are things that's not in our budget, spending money to rent these facilities. And I think that's some things that you know, Branco might forget about, is that, you know, we're making accommodations. And I know you guys you want to get done just as much as we do, but we are spending extra money that we were not planning on spending as we keep waiting.
Well, and make no mistake, I want our kids in there safely. I'm not saying we jeopardize safety to get in a building before it's ready, but I don't see how we're going to move over in the middle of a semester either. I don't know that we'll be in there.
I think that we can, Tina. I think that if, you know, maybe not all at once, it'll be staggered. We did move out during the middle of a semester. So I think we could move in. It's going to had to be very coordinated. It's something we didn't want to have to do, but it is a reality that I think if we don't do that, we wait until next year, and that doesn't seem fair to the kids too.
Could the possibility, sorry guys, late to the party, sorry, but could the possibility be like do a week of virtual where, I mean, because we had talked originally about doing that over Thanksgiving week. Would that give Wes's group enough time to get everything moved and just do 1 week of virtual just to accommodate for the move, just so we could get everything done?
That if it's not COVID related or weather related, that might pose a problem with makeup. I'd have to check with Desi on that. It would have to extend the school year for the high school. So that's something, Tim. I haven't thought about that, but that's not a bad idea if we can get it where if the virtual would count as attendance and we don't miss those days, they don't have to be made up. Then that's something to really think about.
If we're hybrid, we'll have those 3-day weekends too.
I would, and Tim took a tour this weekend. I think we might really be closer than many people think.
Anybody's welcome to come anytime and get with, you know, myself or Wes or Merlin, and we'll take anybody on a walkthrough who'd like to go. I think you'll see that things, you know, that it doesn't seem like there's a ton changing on the outside, but when you get inside, there's lots of things happening. And there's lots of people in there working, and you know, everything's moving along.
Yeah, I got to see, and I was very pleasantly surprised how everything looked, and I think we all ought to take a tour sometime soon, just so you guys can see it as well if you haven't seen it, because I'm very impressed. So
We haven't had a Facebook community tour in a while either, which might be why there's a lot of unrest in the community, not seeing progress. So
we did one in early November, and Brent, we need to do that tomorrow. And Wes, I'm hoping you're going to be there. So we need to knock that out tomorrow so that we can have our December tour.
I agree with that. I think that would really help with the community in showing them that we're getting close. And I understand the frustrations of COVID, but obviously you can tell we're extremely frustrated as a board that we're not in there yet. When we were told, you stood in front of us in September and said, we will be out of here and our worksite trailer will be gone before Christmas. And that didn't happen.
That was very much our intent until I said, if you have people that can't come and things that can't get there, I mean, like, we've tried everything we can. Like, so we've sourced, like I said, our company that's doing the doors and windows, the guy drove to Houston, Texas himself and picked up the window frames because they couldn't get them because of COVID shipping delays. And, there's been things like that happen. We went and got things from, outsource things to other places and, tried to do the best we can. But I said, if you have a contractor that, can't be there and you call them and, of course we keep on them, hey, how's everybody doing? And when you got to have guys there again, there's just, your hands are kind of tied, I guess, per se.
Okay. Any more comments? Dr. Johnson, I'm certainly interested in walking through there. I haven't been through there in a month, so.
Yeah, anytime, any of you, anybody, and any community member, Tim directed one community member to me this weekend, and I encouraged that individual to come take a tour. It does change when they take the tour. People, they say, oh, okay, this is looking pretty good. We're still frustrated, Eric. We're still frustrated we're not in the building. We want to be in the building. However, we know there is progress happening. It's just not happening at the rate that we thought it was going to be happening and the rate that we were promised that it would be happening. That would be happening.
Frustrated you guys aren't in the building as well.
Okay. Any more comments regarding the construction? All right. Eric or Brandon, both of you, we appreciate you being candid with us and talking with us on it. And we'd like to get in there, obviously, as soon as we possibly can safely. So thank you again.
We'll do everything in our power to get you guys in there as soon as possible.
And I probably won't see you again. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. And we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you again.
Thank you guys.
So we will move on to the next presentation, and that is replacement of Mr. Stammers.
Yes. So, can you see the screen here?
We see it.
So we sent out a survey just to kind of see what our high school staff was thinking. Their opinion does matter. They are not the ones who will be recommending or hiring, but they have the insight and they know what's going on in the building, and their opinion definitely does matter. So we did send out a survey, and 39% of the staff did participate, and had some interesting feedback on different things throughout it. And so don't know if there's anything that really stood out to you as far as principal is. How important is it that the principal has a work history that includes experience as a high school principal? You can see where their thoughts are on that. Really probably indifferent on that. Classroom teacher, that seemed to be pretty important. Athletics, that didn't seem to be as important, but some felt it was also important. Similar size school district, indifferent, but a little bit, leaning towards important. And Being from St. James, not as important, but some felt it was. And let's see, they are looking for an instructional leader, it appears. And obviously that's, they answered right there. Hire quality teachers and retain them. Disciplinarian is important. And so these were kind of unique personal characteristics, ranked the very first. It's articulate and then accountable, personable. You can see things that teachers felt were the most important for the personal characteristics. And this is great information that we're going to use with the applicants during the interview process. Then what are the things that the new principal will likely face, some challenges? And these are the answers that the teachers ranked for the challenges for the new person. So the application deadline is set for Friday, January the 15th. You don't want to do it too early for a principal because many principals aren't really looking right now. This is not the time that principals are looking. So if you close it too early, you're probably going to cut yourself out of some really good candidates possibly. So we already have some candidates, several candidates, some good ones. So Tim and I are very excited about what we're seeing so far. And so when that is closed, there will be a week where we will get everything done as far as interviews, and we will share this information throughout that process. And then there will be a recommendation to the board at the February meeting. That's the plan right now. We are also planning to go ahead and post very soon. I believe Shannon, I think we talked at the end of this month probably, or very beginning of January, to go ahead and post the assistant job as well, so that can be out there. Are there any questions on this survey?
Oh, on the survey now.
Okay. Any questions?
I do have a question though. How much will the new principal have any input into hiring or interviewing of the assistant principal?
Yeah, that's the reason we're delaying the assistant.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Okay.
We want the new principal to be able to have input. We don't want to already have that done before the new principal, the new head principal is hired. So we want someone that's going to be able to work well together and give them that opportunity to be part of that decision process.
And will the board have an opportunity to meet your recommendation before we have to make any kind of decision?
Yeah, so we discussed, I believe, at the October meeting that we would probably narrow it down to maybe one or two and come up with some sort of plan where it'd be informal, kind of an informal meeting, or just share the information just based on the circumstances. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, there's nothing more there. We love surveys. Let's do another survey. So the calendar survey. So this one also interesting. If you recall, in the past, we have done calendar committees, and at the end of last year, we decided to consider doing something a little bit different and just putting out a survey and finding out what people they feel. We were able to disaggregate the data between parents and teachers. And so, but in general, here's the percentage of people that participated. Majority were parents. And then we had another, well, about the same amount of teachers really when you put those together, a little bit less. So if you look at issues that are most important, these are ranked. Staff on this side. Christmas break's the most important, but the community is the start of the school year, end of the school year, Christmas break. And in both cases, the PLCs and PD days really were, as far as creating a calendar, are not that it doesn't mean they're not important, but it's just that's not what people are worried about when you're creating a calendar. Preference, first day is we've always done that Tuesday, and that looks like that's something that will continue, although some people don't mind on Mondays and some people don't. They're really indifferent. Last day, that's pretty typical, that week of the 16th through 20th. Sometimes we actually get out a little later than that. Keep the same format for Thanksgiving, same for 2 weeks for Christmas, same for spring break. I think people appreciate that we try to go along with Rolla's spring break with the RTI, and we have a lot of teachers and different people that have spouses that work at the school, so it works out well with the two sister communities. The district PD days, I think we did separate it between staff and then community, and it's interesting just how it's a little bit different. But the staff says same format, and the community's indifferent, according to this survey. And then the second answer for the community is to keep it the same. So I think people have been getting used to what we are doing this year. There's always going to be some people that don't like it. There's going to be some people that really like it. On the PLCs, we saw something similar for the staff. Keep it the same. There were several other choices, and we probably maybe made it a little bit too complicated with too many choices. But for the most part, I think people would like to keep it the same, because even if you look, there's other answers that says keep it the same, but with little adjustments. In the community, surprisingly, I thought it was going to be different, but the community did say keep it the same. Although, there was 16% that said eliminate PLCs. So that, there's going to be people that, and we know, that do not like it. And probably the most overwhelming survey result of all was that Friday seemed to be the best day, according to everyone. So that seems like, we have been Wednesday at one point, but that wasn't really one that was chosen by very many. So in general, based on these results, and then also coupled with the fact that we really we were not able to have a normal year, I'm not seeing how we can make a grand change, a big change in our present situation. There's no data that will support, or if it wouldn't support that it's working, because this is one of those unusual years. So, and my thought is that based on this information, that we will more than likely, when there's a recommendation, either in January or February, or maybe even later, there's still some things that we don't know that might be coming down the pike from DESE. There's maybe some things about the start of school that we're not sure if DESE is going to recant on that required late start that they mandate. That it's not DESE, the legislators, the legislation, the Congress of Missouri mandated the later start to help with tourism. So, I mean, the fact that there might not be that much tourism this upcoming year, I'm thinking they're going to say we can start earlier. So in my opinion, we need to wait just a little bit longer to see if there's going to be any changes to the mandates on the school start date. So that's what a lot of school districts are thinking. Many go ahead and get their calendar approved in January, but I believe many school districts this year might wait till February or even March. So any comments on the district calendar survey? Okay. That's it for presentations.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, for both of those surveys. Nice to see what the opinion is out there. Next item we have is a discussion topic, and I put that on there because MSBA has, as a legislative candidate, has asked me to put that on there for everyone's feedback. It's been up again for the legislature in the last couple of years. There are a few organizations out there pushing very strongly to move school board elections from the April election period to the November period. And they want our input. So I want your input so I can give it to them.
Okay, I've got some input. I'm losing my battery here. I have some input. I'm about to lose my battery, I think. The best part about school board and even city council is that there are no political parties attached to it. And so I think that if you move an election of board members and even city council, which doesn't affect us, to November, people get confused and want to attach a political party to that. I like the fact that this is nonpartisan, that we're all in this, and the school is the most important thing to us, regardless of your politics. And so personally, I would hate to see them move it to November. I like the April elections where they are, but that's just my personal opinion.
That is exactly what I'm after, Barb, is our personal opinions so we can do a consensus as a board.
You know, I don't hesitate to give it, so.
And I will say, I agree with you. I do not like the business of politics with trying to attach political parties. I think it's more important to keep all local elections nonpartisan. And that worries me for putting it on there. I'm not sure what their reasoning is for putting it on there or for asking it to go to November, because I don't see that it saves us any money as a district for election. You know, we have to pay, you know, anytime we run a bond issue or something like that. So it doesn't matter. We're typically not going to run the bond issue in November anyway. We prefer to run it in April for other reasons. And so it would actually cost us more or cost a district more annually if we move to November, because it would be very likely that we would have to pay for 2 different election periods then. Comments from anyone
Recommend that
else?
they leave it the same.
Okay.
I agree with everybody.
Okay.
I too agree with everyone.
I like politics, but leave it in April.
Okay.
I love politics, but leave it in April.
The other issue I have with it, and again, I'm all for it being in April, is that I think in November it would become, to me, would become a side issue. You would have probably more people voting, but I don't know how else to put it. I would say people that really don't have as much interest or are less informed in November would be voting for board members, as opposed to the people that show up in April to vote for school board. I think they'd be more informed on their local politicians. Okay. Well, I think our consent is pretty strong that we keep that in April. That's what I will provide them with feedback. And I thank you for all of your feedback. We will move along to action topics. And I think we've already lost Kenny, got bored with us, but first action topic is approval of our audit report.
I'll make a motion to approve the audit report.
I'll second.
I got a motion from Tina and I heard a second from Barb. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I
Hey,
would like,
Merlin, can you stop sharing your screen so I can open up these tabs just for right now? Thank you.
so, you're welcome. I would like to commend Susan. It's not often that you get a audit, especially when you get a new auditor, that you have no findings. And so Susan and her team did a great job getting the information and then finding issues and then fixing them quickly. And she's really done a great job. I appreciate Susan.
I'm probably going to lose you guys because I'm on my iPad on a low battery. So I'm going to try to get on the computer. So
I'll let you back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Susan.
All right, we'll move along to the next one. And that's the Walmart and city and school agreement for financing that Jim Fleming has been very capable and hardworking to get ironed out for us. I would like a motion to approve the contribution agreement and the resolution that directs it to take effect.
I make that motion. That's John.
I'll second.
That was Tina or Shalina? I'm sorry.
Delina.
Selena, second. All right, I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Again, I don't know if Jim is on here or not.
No.
But I'd like to commend him for his work on it. And if you look at it, we've been getting about 350,000. I think that's actually going to go up a little bit to about 370,000 total. So again, thank him for that. So those in favor of approving the resolution and the agreement, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Next item we have is emergency discretionary leave regarding second semester. Dr. Johnson, you want to describe a little bit about some of the changes there?
So we discussed this back in October and we decided, the board decided to go ahead and offer for school district days to our staff, any staff that has to be in quarantine or, they have COVID, anything related to COVID. That was a decision and not for them not to have to use any personal leave time. We did discuss that we would do that and extend it all the way until December 31st. And then we would revisit it in December prior to starting second semester. So that's where we're at now. To date, right now, so far, Congress, the United States Congress, they have not extended the federal leave mandate of the EPSL. So school districts everywhere are trying to figure out what are they going to do. And so MSBA did provide a board resolution. In that resolution, they had several different things that we could consider, and it's very well written, and it's guidance for school boards. I did want to make a note if you open that document up on the second page under number 7. So we highlighted this. According to MSBA, their recommendation is that staff would use at least 2 days of their paid leave prior to getting the 10 gifted days from the district. So we didn't do that in October for this present semester. I wanted to make sure that if you are going with the MSBA's recommended resolution, that would include has 2 days for the staff. I didn't know if the board would want to do that. That was the big difference. Everything else I think would fall in line, but it does give a clear date expiration, which would be June the 30th. So would you want to approve a board resolution that includes MSBA's recommendation that staff in the second semester would use 2 of their own days, or take that out?
Marlon, I have a question, if that's all right. Is that the second time? Like that's saying somebody's already used it, or this is their first time?
This is a total for the year. I don't think we're giving another 10, which would be 20. I think this is just continue it if they should get into it again.
Okay.
That is how I.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understand it as well. So you get 10 days from the government free, and then we agreed to give 10 additional days. And then after that, the teacher or the employee was going to step in and start using their own days after that, correct?
Correct.
All right. I don't think we should change it personally, especially with the spike in COVID cases in our area. I think it's more important now than ever, but that's my opinion.
I know this was a lengthy discussion last time, and I just would like to state my opinion again. We are asking staff to come to school every day and risk being possibly exposed to COVID. And then we're saying we're only going to pay you 2 times before you start dipping into your days. I understand we don't want them to abuse this. However, if they're getting exposed because we're putting them in a classroom over and over and over again, and now some of these people can get it a second time. I mean, let's say one of our teachers gets COVID twice and they've been quarantined once. We're not going to pay them the second time they get COVID. It's just, I know this is what we approved initially. I just wanted to say it again that I'm having a hard time telling them we're not going to pay them when we're putting them on the front lines and getting them exposed.
Now, I understand that, Tina, but at the end of the day, everybody that goes to work every day, including yourself, exposes yourself, and we've got to be able to run that as well. I hate to say it's a money issue, but we've got to be fiscally responsible as well. And I also think 10 days additional to what the government is providing is being very generous, personally.
Okay, so run through one more time what we are saying. I was out, sorry guys. Tell me one more time what we are saying that we're going to do for teachers.
So we're saying this would just extend what we've already said we would do through December the 31st. So this would extend it into second semester with, as John had explained, the federal 10 days first, and then the school gifted 10 days. And then after that, after 20 days, then it would be on the staff.
As written from MSBA, they're asking for the employee to use 2 days, but what I'm hearing is we don't want to include that. So we're going to offer 10 days total for them to use, whether they have to use it in 5 day or 6 day, and then use 4 days for a second time around. It's available to them, and we will not require them to use 2 days beforehand.
Yeah, so we would take that out of the resolution. We'll strike that. Although that was MSBA's recommendation, that is what many schools are doing, because MSBA does have influence in that, and they feel that some districts are reporting abuse, but I don't feel that we have that at St. James.
Have we had any teachers that have exhausted their second set of 10 days yet?
We've had some probably starting to get pretty close. But now that the quarantine time has been reduced, that's very helpful. And then the governor's order that wearing masks, if all teachers and staff are wearing masks, that's really helping. The only negative is in the case of extracurricular activities now, and we had a situation with one of our sports teams recently with, the kids are not wearing masks when they play, and when they expose their teammates and coaches, the coaches who are employees are quarantined those 10 days.
And a lot of the teachers that are hybrid, they are teaching even though they're quarantined, so they're not technically exhausting their time.
So now we're really talking about those who get COVID and then they can't teach virtually. In most cases, but in some cases, it's some that that are quarantined because of the extracurricular activities.
Okay. All right. So
we haven't had a problem yet.
To move forward, I need a motion, and I think what I'd like to ask is approve this resolution without the requirement to use the 2 days before they're eligible. So in other words, strike out all the words that have been highlighted in yellow in the document there.
Okay, I can't see mine. I probably need to abstain on this, correct?
I don't think so.
Well,
no, you do not have to abstain, Barb. It's not an individual issue.
Indirectly, it could be. And Marilyn just
No,
mentioned.
you are voting on a policy that affects
Okay.
all teachers.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
for all staff.
Okay, I can't see the policy.
It's a resolution. It's an attachment, Barb, and I can pull it up on the screen. If
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, I was gonna say, share that.
you, I'll kick myself off real fast so that you can see
Okay.
the tabs again. So where are we at here? No, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, okay.
So we're looking at number 7 there, Barb.
Mm-hmm.
The part interaction with other paid leave. MSBA is recommending this part that they would use 2 days of district provided paid leave. Staff would, and so we didn't approve that. We went with 10 days back in October for the first semester.
Right.
So, the discussion with the board here tonight while you've gone is that we don't want to do this. This is MSBA's recommendation, but we'll strike this part out.
And they still get the 10 days.
The 10 days, it's not a new 10 days. It's not, they don't get 30 days now, but it's just
right.
The original just stays the same.
So paragraph 7 would read, in order to use a COVID leave, they must first exhaust the emergency paid sick leave from the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And then employees have the option of using other accumulated paid leave prior to using COVID. Leave must be, but must notify the district in writing of their choice.
Yes, and so Shannon,
that is gone.
Shannon will update this based on the motion.
And Teeny, what was your point that you made one more time? Do you mind, since I was gone?
Oh, I was just restating what I said last time, that we put teachers in classrooms to get exposed every day, but then we're not going to pay them when we quarantine them. The governor's orders did help with that. And I know Merlin explained last time that CARES money would come back to cover some of this. And I was just making my plug again that it's hard to put teachers in a situation where we are the ones who are quarantining them, but
right,
we're not going to pay them when we put them in quarantine.
Right.
I think, I most certainly, I see Tina's point and I see John's point, but some of the people that I know that have personally tested positive have been some of the most cautious people when it comes to, mitigating risk, and they have tested positive. And some people who I know that are very laid back, so I don't want for our teachers to feel, frustrated that, if they once again test positive, that then they're having to dip into their PTO bank for something that is really out of their control, in my opinion.
Right.
But I see both sides.
This is such a crazy thing. I don't want our teachers to be penalized for this. And I do understand, John, it's about money, but oh, it seems we spend money on some other things that I have a hard time having teachers dip into their own sick leave pool when really, I mean, boy, we give
Just
all
keep in
kinds
mind,
of,
we're given 10 free days already.
I know. Well, but 10 days under COVID, I mean, if you get it again or you get quarantined, and maybe this has nothing to do with it, but we're giving all kinds of grace to our construction for people who can't meet their deadlines because they say of COVID, you know, and yet we can't give our teachers these extra days when they're on the front line all the time. And I know everybody goes to work, but I don't know if they have to face, you know, kids day in and day out like this. So I think I have to agree with Tina. I have to agree with Tina on this. I think that they should not be dipping into their own sick leave pool.
So the science is saying that COVID is, you get it once every 90 days, and I'm sure there's exceptions to that. And then on top of that, now we have the governor's rule that says if we have a mask on and we have a mask mandate in our schools, we don't have to quarantine these people. Plus, we have teachers that are able to work from home, and we are not penalizing them if they are working from home while in quarantine. We have gone above and beyond. I agree. I live with a teacher. I understand that side of things, but I have a very hard time paying people, you know, giving them free sick days. That's why we give them the days. And I know a pandemic's different. I'm not arguing that, but we've got to draw a line somewhere and be fiscally responsible.
This is where I'm stuck at. Go ahead, Tina.
No, you go ahead.
So where I'm stuck at is, let's say this was the flu virus and we were fighting that. I mean, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. And we are having it because it's a pandemic. You're correct. I mean, that's why we're having this discussion. But it's kind of hard to look at. I mean, I'm trying to not look at it as a business guy, which is difficult because, I mean, we get our 10 days as well. But I don't know. I have a hard time with this one adding the extra time, because if we're already offered them the 10 days, I think that's pretty lenient. And I do feel bad. I really do. But I have to agree with John on this one. I think that 10 days is 10 days.
And where I would jump in on this is if they got sick with the flu or with COVID or for any other reason and they had to stay home, say they got sick with the flu or any other reason beside COVID and they had to stay home, they would have in years past had to have used sick leave or leave, time off. The hard part is when we tell them they have to stay home and they feel absolutely fine, and then what do we do? And I have to agree with John, I think, on that, is that I think that we're not going to see that as much anymore. Like Dr. Johnson said, the hard one on that is, you know, those that are coaching and doing other extracurriculars where they're not, you know, wearing the mask all the time. But when they're teaching in there, and if they're wearing a mask and the kids are wearing a mask, we're not going to tell them they have to quarantine just because someone came positive in their classroom.
So then doesn't that kind of become a moot point then, that they wouldn't be using those days anyway? Since we're
right,
not
that's why I'm saying that I don't think that's going to be a big issue right now.
Except for the people who are in extracurricular activities and get stuck with it time and time again, you know? So are we going to penalize those people? Because I don't really think it's going to affect teachers. I don't really think it's going to affect your teachers because they're not going to be quarantined, a lot of them, except for your extracurricular activity people.
So we are paying them to teach from home for full days if they are working full days from home?
Only if they can work. In some cases, they can't. So if they're able to actually teach and do things, yes, but it's difficult for some people to be able to actually do it. So some are really disconnecting and not teaching, not doing anything on those days.
So then that takes one of their days.
Correct. And so there's been cases where people have been gone for 5-6 days and they actually teach and do things, and we don't count those days against them at all. So really, we're not in bad shape. I don't think anyone has gone beyond their 20 days so far. I think we're going to be okay. If we have some sort of unusual anomaly, we will address that. And I think that's where we ended it back in October, that let's just see if we have something that happens and we'll handle that situation when it does happen.
That was going to be my question, is could we make some little, I mean, I believe I read in there that said that the board could make this decision at any time. I mean, could we make I hate to say case by case decision, but I mean, there's going to be different cases for, like Barb said, the extracurricular coaches or versus a teacher. I mean, that'd probably be two totally different situations. I mean, is there a way to put in like a case by case decision that we might have to review?
Yes, I think that's what the best thing is just wait till something happens and we'll look at it. And this is an unusual time of COVID. I think really the good message is to our teachers and to everybody is that we're extending it. We're extending it beyond December 31st. That's the good message.
Yes.
Can I share something real quick? I think the one thing we'll have to remember is for the high school, not the other buildings, but our lunchtime, which is every day, if we come back with all the kids on January 19th, our lunchtime is unmasked for 78 minutes. So that could play a part. I just want you to keep that in mind because that could be one of those case by case things. Our hybrid has helped so far, and because at lunchtime we've been able to have those kids far apart. But when we come back after the 15th, that'll be a different story. So, because we can't eat in cafeterias. So just food for thought.
Okay, well, we have had our discussion. I would like to have a motion to
Make a motion that
approve the
we leave it
resolution.
unchanged.
So I have a motion from John to approve the resolution, removing the requirement to use their own leave.
And it's extending it till June 30th.
Do I have a second?
Might help if I turn my microphone on. Sorry, I'll second it.
I have a second from Tim. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No one being opposed, motion carries. We will apply that resolution to give 10 extra days through the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. The last action topic that we have is a temporary increase for substitute pay. I would like a motion to approve the temporary increase in substitute pay to be effective 1 January through 30 June.
I'll make the motion.
Was that Tim? I'm sorry, who made the motion? Tim?
Yeah, Tim, sorry.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second from John? Or who made the second?
John did.
Justin.
Justin.
Oh, Justin, I'm sorry.
I'm having to switch between all my Hollywood squares trying to find everyone. All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the proposed increase for substitute pay? Those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No one being opposed, motion carries. We are finally down to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I will try to move quickly. Good information. The expiration of the PSRS Pierce waiver has been extended to March 31st. So those people that we've been leaning on to help us, they can go over their 550 hours. That's a good thing. So very positive. The CSIP goals quarterly update. I just wanted to, we are going to keep at least 4 times a year to report to the board. This is very fresh after our October approval, but we've been doing a very good job at our admin meetings revisiting all of our goals, and we have timelines for each one of them. That's the important thing, is for it to have SMART goals and for it to be time-based. And so we are hitting each one of these goals when we're supposed to, and keeping each of us accountable and working on things such as surveys and such as budget reviews and things like that. So I'm very proud of our administrative team and our teachers and even our students we're talking the mission statement, and we continue to talk about how we can get better and keep our CSIP alive. So a lot of good things are happening with CSIP. Any questions on that? Also, just wanted you to know that part of our CSIP is a personnel audit, and the personnel audit is basically we look at our student numbers, and then we look at our our staffing numbers, and we have an enrollment analysis that we are going to continue to keep up with, and we look at numbers for what the future is going to look like next year, especially when we're planning for our teaching staff for next year. And then really kind of looking at a 5-year history or a 5-year projection where we're going to be the next 5 years. And so we have shared this information with our principals, and if we haven't, I know we definitely have with our elementary, but that the numbers are shifting to elementary, and they're going to grow temporarily at the middle school, or kind of stagnant at the middle school, and then they're getting larger at the high school. Tim, do you have anything to add on that with the personnel audit?
I feel like you covered most of it there.
Okay, so we are just so you know, we're looking at that, and that's going to be helping us as we plan for staffing coming up very soon in the spring.
There are going to be a couple of things that we're able to do, more than likely elementary wise, just in the fact of with some of the trends showing with early childhood growth that could change some positions coming into next year, but it's too early to tell or to say anything for sure. So we kind of just playing the waiting game right now.
Okay, moving on with DESE's, the State Board of Education just approved that we will go ahead and test. There will be assessments this spring. However, the board also went with DESE's recommendation that the assessment results not be used for purposes of state or federal accountability. We feel that we need to be able to have this data to see where we are. We can't just not test. So we will be testing. And so there's lots of debate throughout the state whether that testing's useful or not. But most people feel that we should go ahead and test. So we will be testing we will be preparing for that. Tim, you have a building level report?
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I added on there, just because I'll be honest, I was kind of curious to see, so I thought you guys might, and if not, it's interesting for me, so I'll keep doing it. On the staff attendance, I put in what our attendance is, just with staff coming or taking their own personal days, and then what our staff attendance is due to COVID misses. So one awesome thing that I can say about our staff is they are seeing the point that every day they can get with the kids. They're making sure that they're there. You can see by the attendance that we have. Obviously, it's a little bit lower with COVID, but that's kind of out of anybody's hands because that's when they're being told to go home. So I attached that just for interest. One thing I wanted to touch on is just the leading the Tiger Way monthly winners. We have Michelle Oxher, Nathaniel Siders, and Misty Hutchcraft on the certified side. Classified, we had Carla Treese, Olivia Cohen, and April McNeese. Again, this is voted on by the staff, and pretty excited that we have so many nominees every single month. Academically, within the district, I kind of just pulled some things from everybody's report just to touch on a little bit here. And then other things that I thought was important. So we did do some EOC testing actually last week. Those are with ALC students that are needing it in order to graduate. So their scores won't necessarily mean anything to us for accountability, but it will be something that we can start looking at. The next point that I put on there is what Merlin just touched on himself. One thing that myself and the curriculum coaches are kind of focusing on is we understand, just like everybody else in the state, scores could and probably are going to be lower than everybody wants to see them. And that's why the state is probably saying that they're not going to hold us accountable, because kids are not in class as much. But I see no point in making that a negative. We can still assess our kids and find out what gaps are we missing. So the following year, we're prepared to make sure that we're filling those gaps. And, it goes back to the old saying, you can look at the negatives or the positives. And I think we just need to look at the positive of what are our kids learning. And I think that those tests will help us see that. Elementary, obviously a week ago, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, coming up on 2 weeks, they went virtual. Overall, kind of just speaking for Mr. Copeland, the experience was really good. Watching the teachers interact over there is just awesome. But at the end of it, just Mr. Copeland being very proactive like he is, he went ahead and said, all right, staff, give me the pros and the cons of what just happened. Obviously, we hope that we don't ever have to do it again. But just in case we do, we've kind of looked at some of the things that could make the experience better and some of the things that we did really awesome. District-wide, we're kind of looking at our PLC data. I hope to have that for you guys next month. It's just the growth through the program that we're using through the state of Missouri. It's called DCI. They have some assessments that we can take. We actually have those assessments done, but their data is not, they're not giving us the data because their system's messed up is what they told us when I got a hold of them. So when I get those scores, I'll make sure that I share them with you guys. And then some extra stuff, the middle school and the high school, just in case you guys do hear some grumblings, because there's a chance that there could be some people that could grumble about it. Our high school and our middle school have become very aggressive in getting a hold of the virtual students that just aren't holding up to their end of the bargain and doing anything. The reality of that is it's probably, there's no probably about it. It's good pressure. At this point, if you're not learning, we need to make sure that we're getting you back in the building. They've been very proactive in this. I know Joe sent his letters out. He's been very upfront with his students. If you're failing, if you're falling behind, you're coming back to the building. Miss Lepper has gone to the level. She sent out certified letters telling them we need to get with it. And I think she's had a lot of success with that. She's shown me some of her numbers earlier this week, and she's having a lot of success too. I think the elementary is not having this problem, plain and simple, with the Celis and the fact that Kevin is able to dedicate all his time to them. And I think when you have a little tyke at home, the parents usually sitting there right next to them. So there's just a little bit more accountability there. But when you're 18, your parents just assume you're doing the right thing, and plain and simple, they're not. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Moving on with the financial reports. If you anything that you see on the revenues, it's in parentheses. That means we've received more funds than anticipated. The big one is the CARES money through DESE, that $298,000 money we did not have budgeted. However, there's money in our general revenues that we're not receiving, so it's kind of balancing that out. But overall, we're not doing anything frivolous, and things are looking good with our finances, as Ken Schultz did point out. So any questions on the financial report? School nutrition report. I believe Linda, if she's not asleep. Linda, you still with us?
Yeah, I just woke up. I took a little nap there. I put my report in there. Right now, there's really not a lot. Well, there is a lot going on in school nutrition. but nothing different than August when we came back. The ladies have got a little more used to it, I guess, but it's not any easier for them. The middle school and high school being hybrid is a little bit easier, but elementary keeps them running. So I put the report in there. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Okay, any questions for Linda?
I just want to say that I really appreciate you board members. Your support means a lot to us. And I tell my ladies all the time how much you support them.
Linda's team has been outstanding this whole, well, all summer through the pandemic. They've been, many of our we've had stars everywhere, but especially school nutrition, they've been outstanding. So thank you for your leadership, Linda.
Can I jump back real quick, Dr. Johnson? I was muted. Didn't realize it. On the financial, you talked about things coming in. Some of the items there on like other pupil activity income and student organization membership dues, where's that money coming from?
Those are student activity accounts. So that's just money coming in through fundraisers and things like that. Susan, you have any comments on that?
Okay. But I was just looking at that one that was almost $65,000, but that's a total of various clubs' fundraising accounts that are coming into the district, and then we're paying them back to use stuff, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
FFA is probably a big one of that. So
Yeah.
okay. Anything else for Linda before we move on? Okay. Thanks, Linda. And now we're moving on to Wes for the facilities report.
I just wanted to recap on a few things from last month. The roof over the locker rooms is completed, and we have that certified from Archer Elgin that is ready to go as far as the roofs are concerned. Another item was the old building on the Smallwood lot there behind the Christian church. That has been removed, and I don't know if anybody's drove by there, but it looks a little different back there. So that is done.
Looks much better. Thank you, Wes.
Yeah. So back on the roofs, so phase 3 of that, we have to fix a few spots that are scattered around the high school roof that were deemed safe to be in, but fix at your earliest convenience. So I'll be trying to get those, but it'll probably be over either a spring break or maybe even wait till summer. And then phase 4 of that is to replace the roof top and deck and all that. So just, I don't want you guys to forget about that part. So I know that's going to be expensive, but it does need to happen. And I know it needs to happen on parts of the elementary as well. So just know we do have roof leaks. So if you guys hear that, we do have them, and we do the best we can. And we're still working on the warranty side, but that kind of is in the same cycle that it's been for the last 5 years. They come, they fix a little bit, and they go. I report more, they come and they fix a little bit and they go. So I just wanted you guys to know that's where we're at on our roofs. It's only portions of our roof. It's really just the metal roof portions. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about roofing.
So are we at the point now, Wes, to where our gym is safe and we shouldn't have any repeat issues like last year?
Which the roof, the roof over the gym is metal roof that does still leak in certain spots. The event that happened last year, same with the gym floor getting, is that what you're asking about?
Well, that was from the new practice gym, correct?
Yes. I mean, it was from the corner. Yes.
We're talking the umbrella issue during the basketball game.
Are we gonna have kids out there mopping up the floor during timeouts again?
Yeah.
No, those,
Come
no,
with an umbrella.
those areas need replaced. I mean, no, the roof, phase 2 had nothing to do with the gym, and phase 3 will not. Phase 4 will if we replace all the roof, but no, there is still leaks. They have come and done some warranty work and fixed them, but they come back. The leaks come back. That's the roofing system is just subpar. So I don't know. I mean, it will come back.
Wes, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
On the drawing here, phase 2 of that's been repaired.
Okay.
How much of none of that damage was A, discovered, or B, caused by any of the new construction? Because it's right there where all that the new locker rooms and stuff are.
So we went, I say we went round and round is what I was going to say, but Dr. Johnson and I felt that the engineers should have seen that when they did our building, when they were doing the drawings, I mean, we attached to the bad roof, but their, I guess I'll call it an excuse, was it was covered up, and it's not something typical they would have looked for cuts in the deck. So therefore they didn't see it at the time. So that was the answer that we got. It wasn't, I went for the fact that, they should have seen it, but they said, well, we wouldn't normally look for cuts in the deck. They looked for on the edge that they were attaching to. It wasn't necessarily rusted. It was actually cuts put in the deck by the best we can tell. And this is all speculation. Cuts put in the deck by when the roof was replaced in between 2008 and 2010, when cutting the old membrane off the top, they actually cut through the decking, and then they just covered it back up with the new roof. So the workmanship warranty was only good for a year. So that ended many years ago. It's not the only warranty that we kind of are hanging on to is by the manufacturer of the new roofing membrane. Well, they aren't going to cover the decking underneath. So that's why we had to do the engineer fix that we did. But it's still, the engineers didn't see it. It wasn't until the new locker room area and we opened up and got everything out of the way in the old science room and lab that then they looked up. It actually was a couple months after that. I was like, hey, what are all these cuts in your deck? And that's what started that whole thing right there before school started. So at that time, it's like, well, why didn't you see this whenever? Because they looked up there, the engineers were up there and they were looking around and checking all the structures, but they didn't notice it. So I know that didn't really answer your question, besides they basically said, yeah, that's not ours to find. We shouldn't be expected to find that, even though, I mean, they were up there. So, I mean, I kind of think they should have, but the answer we got was, well, that's not something we look for. So
when we get to phase 4,
yep,
correct me if I'm wrong, we will have a new roof put where all the old roof is. We're going to replace all the issues and do a new roof.
Roughly, it'll be offhand, I'll guess about 50% of the high school. Now that we've done the renovation and we got the new gym roof, there's about 50% of the roof left. So think about that in square foot. Our high school is like 100,000 square feet. So we got about 50,000 square feet ish of thin metal roofing that leaks in different spots. So we need about 50% more of our roofing done at the high school. And it's probably 60% of the elementary has the same type of roof, which is another 50 to 60,000 square feet of.
So we're anticipating to have this done when?
So the engineer, which we've supported it now where it's safe, but he suggested within 5 years. Is that correct, Dr. Johnson? Isn't, and I don't have that report in front of me. I'm pretty sure it was within 5 years, phase 4 needs to be completed. So within 5 years, we need to do it. And I don't remember what the exact numbers were. Wasn't it like, I want to say that Brandco, when they got numbers, whenever all that started, we asked them, I said, hey, why don't you just get us some numbers since you guys are here? Wasn't it 500,000 for, and that wasn't all, that wasn't the gym at the high school.
That was, it might have been more like 6 or 7.
And that was maybe 30,000 square feet at the high school. That wasn't even the full 50. So if that gives you any type of range of, I mean, we could be talking $1 million at each building of roofing. But that was, hey, we need this done right now price. You know, if we can plan ahead, and I mean, I think it will come down, but I don't know that because I haven't priced that.
But the big issue, we need to replace the pan that's under the roof deck, or repair it. Maybe we can weld it or something, but that pan needs to be done in all those areas identified. And then while we're at it, that's when we should be putting a new roof topping on instead of the thin, mobile home sheet metal roof that's up there right now. And that's what should cure our leaks. So we need to replace the structure for phase 4. And then while we're at it, we should replace everything.
So what would happen in that, we wouldn't actually take the old decking off, because so you have your I-beams, and then you have your metal decking on top of that, and then you do a insulated buildup, and then whatever top layer you have. So the best thing would be to take off all the membrane and all the insulation. You get down to that deck, and then you just put new deck on top of that deck. Because if you go to rip the decking off, well, that's what all your ceiling grids attached to, and all, then you're talking, I mean, you go to any classroom and look up and see sky. Where if you leave the old deck, then you can just put more deck on top, and it's a redeck. It's still not the best, but it's the only cost-effective way that I see us doing it.
But we don't have to redeck everything. Like what's over Donati Auditorium, the deck is good, but the topping on top of that should be replaced while we're redoing the rest of it, right?
Yeah. So we just did this very thing you guys approved when we added PR, the change requests for the library roof, because of how the building was tying in, and some of you guys approved change requests, and whenever they pulled up most of that, all that decking was fine. I think they replaced like 6 sheets over the entire high school library, and then they replaced those sheets, and they put the new roof on it, and it was I don't remember that exact cost, but it shocked me how actually affordable it was. So it can be affordable, and it can be where we don't have to place all the deck. It'll just be as they go. We'll basically get a price for every sheet you have to replace, how much is it going to cost, and then as they go, when it's deemed bad, then they'll replace it as they go, and then if it's good, they just keep continuing on.
So Wes, if you had to give like a timeline, like should we expect to have all bad roof replaced in 5 years, or do we have any like a plan in place?
Well, see, and I guess that's why I'm talking about this, because I do not have a plan. I just know it will, if it needs to be done. And I know the principals, Joe, Dan, you guys can chime in. They just, when teachers complain about roof leaks, I feel my hands are tied. I don't want it to rain in the library at the elementary every time it rains, and it does. I mean, we have, it happens, and I can get prices, but I do not have a plan, with phasing. I haven't even looked at it with all the other construction going on. I wasn't even going to go there until we're ready. But I think our next project at the school will either be one of two things, and that will be we need to think about roofs or we need to think about air quality. And that was my other topic I was going to talk about was air quality. And those guys still have not got me a report on what their findings were, but the way their company works, they're going to try to find cost savings in lights and stuff and be able to help us fix some of the air quality. So one of those two projects should be the next thing you guys should probably be telling me to focus on, in my opinion, would be roofs or air quality. So,
well, it seems like to me we keep talking about the roof leaks, and I would think the longer we let this go, the more cost that's going to be associated, the more damage that's going to be done. It's just going to keep building. So just my perspective, I feel like we need to start something.
Yep.
Plan to start or something.
Yes. And so I don't want to say that there's no plan. I mean, my plan, it kind of keeps going astray because our roof still has warranty. That's what makes it, we still have a warranty. It's just, so then we went down the tunnel of, okay, well, what are they going to fix? Well, then they fixed a little bit and then they fixed a little more. And so, that's what makes this decision tough, is why would we replace a roof that still has warranty? And we just did on the new projects because, well, we had to cut into it and, it wasn't cost effective to try to maintain the warranty because we had to cut through it with all the new HVAC systems and all that. So that helped, but that's.
It seems like with the warranty though, to me, from my perspective, and better, so please correct me if my perspective is wrong, but it seems like we're fighting a lost battle almost. Like we've been fighting this warranty for years. They come in, they fix a little bit. It's like this never ending thing. So would we be better just to not even worry about the warranty and just come up with a whole new plan and move forward?
I mean, in my opinion, I agree. Yes. The warranty is only as good as the company that has it and how it was followed. There's things that there's probably loopholes that they can get out. I mean, I read it and it was just loophole after loophole of how they could get out of it if they really wanted to. Now we could push it, but then, okay, well then you're going to spend money in litigation to chase them. And we're still going to be in the same boat. And then we're just going to have money spent. So yes, I feel we need to move forward with a roof replacement plan. It needs to be definitely part of a short-term facilities plan.
Okay. So Wes, we can quit raining on our elementary books and our brand new gym floor. Can you bring us a plan, like a timeline and what it will cost? I'm not saying we're going to implement it in April, but I want to know realistically how long it'll take to replace each patch. And I think that's what Shalene is asking for, is for you to lay it all out with costs and times associated with it so we can look realistically on when we can get started on this.
Absolutely. I can
also a breakdown of what warranties are left.
Okay. I can do that. I will get something together. Don't know if it'll be by January, but it will definitely be by February. Well, I don't like the word definitely. I will get it as soon as I can get it done. Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's probably all I got. The air quality thing, like I said, waiting on those results. There will be something there that you guys can, as soon as I get those results, I'll let you know. That will be, in my opinion, the next thing of the COVID will be air quality. I mean, I'm thinking maybe money will be thrown at it by the government or something, because that is a big part of all this. So I'll let you guys know as soon as those results come in as well. And that's all I got, unless you guys have any questions about Brandco or construction. I don't know if you got all those questions answered earlier, but that's really all I've got.
We can also do some of that in a closed session.
Okay. I'm done.
Thank
Okay,
you,
moving
Wes.
on. Thank you very much. Not a whole lot with the MSBA report. There's a lot of the information that you already know, that the regular session of 2021 for General Assembly will start on January the 6th. So that's big topics, and based on our present current events, vouchers, tuition tax credits, charter schools, all those things are going to be topics this year in our General Assembly, the regular session coming up.
I will say we got lucky last year with the COVID canceling legislation, basically, that a lot of these things weren't pressured, but they're going to come back hot and heavy this year.
Oh, yeah.
Regarding vouchers and charter.
I think they gained momentum, actually. So I'm afraid what's going to happen. So the other thing is we do need a committee of 3 to select a recipient for the MSBA Belcher Scholarship. Deadline for the students to submit their applications is coming up real fast, January the 11th. So who would like to serve on that committee?
I love doing this. I volunteer.
All right. So Tina is one. We need 2 more.
I will say that these are really good reports that these kids write. And what was it, 2 or 3 years ago that we won the state award?
We won the district award.
Or district, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It was Tanner Dixon, I believe.
Barb looks like she's talking, but not.
That's what I'm thinking too.
So you just recruited Barb, sounds like?
Oh, she's got her hand up.
Okay.
Barb volunteered?
I think she had her hand up, so I think so. Yep. She might have just been scratching her nose or something.
I heard Shalina will do it too. She
Oh, I heard that as well. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
So Shannon she will get that information to you, or Barb, I believe, Wilson maybe, will get that to you. So, all right, that is it for the superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much. And that does it for all the open session items that we have. I need a motion to go to closed session to discuss legal actions, real estate, and personnel.
Tina makes a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Tina and a second from, I think, Shalina.
Yep.
All right. This requires, unfortunately, a roll call vote. So, Barb? Yay or nay, Barb?
She doesn't know how to unmute herself, I don't think. She gave you a thumbs up.
Give me okay, thumbs up from Barb. Tina?
Yep.
Shalina?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
All members are for closed session. We will enter closed session. And
Does everybody know you have a link to go to closed session? Everybody has that? And
Yes.
there's others that as well. Okay.
so